All right, well, thank you everyone for having me here with you today. Today we're going to talk about the skin microbiome, current perspectives, the pitfalls and opportunities that we have in this space. I already was introduced. It's very nice to meet you all. Just to give you a little bit about my background, my PhD is in immunology and microbial pathogenesis. So, I'm going to bring forth that perspective of both the microorganisms, but the immunology and the aspects of the environment in which those microbes live as well. So first, let's talk a little bit about, let me move this out of my way. Let's talk a little bit about what the microbiome is. Sorry, just one second. Okay, here we are. So what is the microbiome? So the microbiome, it needs to be differentiated from what the microbiota is. A lot of people in this field use the term microbiome to mean the bacteria, fungi, or organisms that exist in an environment. But really what the definition means is a combination of the microbiota, which are, again, those bacteria, archaea, fungi, viruses, etc., and the activity that they produce in the environment. So the proteins and peptides, lipids, polysaccharides, other things that they produce in that environment, and the environment itself, because these, where they live. So we're talking about the skin here today. So the environment would be the human skin. The human skin brings its own unique environmental aspects. And so that dictates often the microbes that can live in that particular niche of the skin. And I'll share more details about that as we go forward. But also the organisms themselves are producing compounds and metabolites, and those then also influence that environment, both the other microbes in the environment itself and the skin, in this case, the environment I'm talking about itself. That is really what the microbiome definition means. And as we continue to evolve in this field, I think it's really important that we all understand that it encompasses both the microbes in the environment and their function altogether. The other interesting and important aspect to consider here is, the fact that we now really consider ourselves or view ourselves in the field as a holobiont. And what do I mean by that? That means that we as human beings have our own host genome. We have the genes that influence our biology and our structure and function. But we understand now, I think more than ever, that we're colonized both within and on our bodies with these microorganisms that bring their own genome to this this consortia, this collaboration. And that together is what we're talking about when we say the holobiont, the microorganisms and ourselves and all the interactions that those genes and influences have together. And then we have, of course, the environment in which we live. That also dictates how that holobiont exists in the environment they're in. So if you live in a very moist, rainy, hydrated environment versus living in the desert, the organisms and the environment that you reside in is going to influence some of the interactions and the organisms that you might be associated with as well. So it's important to have this perspective as we talk about the skin, because we're going to talk about it in a holistic way, meaning both us as human beings and the organisms that live on that skin itself. So first, let's talk about the microbiota in the context of the skin microbiome. So on the skin, which I'll explain in more detail, more about the structure function in a few slides, what we now understand really is that we have a balanced microbiome on the skin of our human body. And it's a habitat of billions of beneficial and potentially harmful bacteria that all exist in this balance in a state of health. And an imbalance of these organisms or an imbalance in the environment, i.e. the skin, can lead to a variety of conditions like acne, eczema, rosacea, and even aging, as we start to understand. So on the skin, the microbiome or the microbiota that live there, they really prefer an acidic environment. Your skin has a pH of around anywhere from 4 to 5.5. And this pH is driven largely through the production of acid compounds on your skin surface, and the microbes also contribute to that reduction of pH on your skin. And this is why you hear a lot about pH balance and maintaining a pH balance. What we mean by that is keeping the pH in an acidic state, because that's what's healthiest for your skin and healthiest for the commensal organisms that have evolved to live with and on you. And the diversity of this microbiome differs depending on where you're looking on the skin. So as you all know, because we all have skin, the skin is different in different parts of our body. The skin on the face is different than the skin on the lower leg versus the hand, for example. And these differences in the temperature, the texture, thickness, humidity, and even the chemistry of what's produced on that surface of the skin help determine what microbes get to live there.